Hello, everyone. Welcome to another round in the Cat Yum Cup. Today, we have Znow Seed 5 versus Card Seed 37. And we're here today in a Saturday's match in round of 32. I am joined by Shock. Hello.
That can add 2 beats, but okay. All right. How you doing, Nameless?
I'm doing good.
That's good. I'm also known as Night Course, so that will probably be on the stream if anyone does do ! Comms. And this is going to be a winner's bracket match. Now, this is a Saturday match, I do believe, for some people in some time zones, but for me, it is still Friday. It is still Friday evening at 11 p.m. So, what an interesting match we have on the winner's bracket matches. We have Znow versus Card. Znow's name definitely sounds very familiar to a lot of people if they are involved in the tournament community. Being a very strong staffer and a very strong player in their own regard, I do believe taking victory in one time with many iterations. For Card, I'm not really too sure. Their name isn't too familiar, and they actually did win last week due to a forfeit of their opponent, so I'm curious to see how they will perform this week.
Yep, and we do see that Znow is actually going to have the higher roll count. So, and Znow is going to be going for the protect, and it's going to be EX1. So Znow is going to be, protecting that more physical pick, which I think is pretty expected, even like especially as a C5. I think their best bet is, the more physical, harder picks.
Yeah, absolutely. I could definitely see Znow going for more the physical picks. Again, in a tournament setting, they definitely do tend to stray towards over that side, especially even looking at their qualifiers as well. They scored really high in the stage, I do believe stage 7. But going for card, going for a Rice 2-ban, that is kind of interesting. Now, I do think this works in a way, because looking at round 64, Znow seeded 4th in, not 4th, 6th with a 994.7. So that does kind of make a bit of sense. Oh no, that was the protect. Forgive me.
Alright, and we see card with the Rice 2 protect and the LN3 ban. And Znow is going to start this off with the EX2. So we're going to start this off with the, the most physical LN pick in this pool. And, seeing that card, banned one of the LN picks, I think it's safe to say that this is not going to go well. But we can't say for sure until we see how this goes.
I think EX2 from pick from Znow is definitely a very strong start for them. They definitely done their study on card. Definitely when looking into the likes of their LN wildcard score, which was notably weaker. But in the round of 32 EX pick, that's going to be equivalent to the round of 16. It's also going to be equivalent to many World Cup. I do believe round of 16 or quarterfinals at this point. I am not 100%. I'm not 100% sure. But also looking at the ban on the side of card, it does only make sense why they would want to ban the technical LN. We have seen as well that Znow definitely a very strong contender when coming to a lot of technical picks. It is also why they're pretty well-known technical mapper as well in the Mania scene.
Yeah, for sure.
And here we are, both players wasting no time. The good luck, have fun has been given out by Znow. So we're just expecting that both players are readied up. And going to be very interesting to see. Only 7.5 at 3 minutes 44. This definitely is going to be the first endurance test I do believe both players have to take. And of course, as it is their first map, hopefully it does give them time to, dust off the nerves a small bit. The first map is always the toughest one, as I do say.
Yeah, I feel like that's when the nerves are, the highest, maybe, aside from the tiebreaker. But this is going to be one of the longer picks in the map pool, 344. Anyways, starting this off, we do see that Znow is going to have a pretty strong accuracy into this intro, whereas card is actually going to fall below the 99 for a brief moment.
Yeah, it's something you don't really want to see in the intro, especially going up against a Goliath like Znow in this case, where 99 is still a relatively strong score for a map like this, but it's not going to be doing a lot, and I think that might come to show you that from the intro, who does have the stronger LN release fundamentals in that case. And what we're seeing right now is Znow taking pretty nice control of the intro, but will things change when we get into the Ki? Both players are very consistent, I do know that, but as we head in, here we are with a lot more mixed releases, a lot more of those technical flamps as well, alongside some coordination. Card is going to be the first one to take a drop, and 2 at that as well, which is only going to be extending score lead to Znow at this point.
Yeah, even from accuracy alone, when card was still holding that full combo, Znow still had a high score lead, but now that we've seen those 2 misses, we've seen that lead has immediately bled into Znow's side, and just even from accuracy alone, Znow just has a high, just a much better upper hand. But seeing how this is going so far, it seems that Znow is just, being very consistent with the accuracy, staying around that 99.7.
Absolutely. Definitely showing why they did seed 5th, having a really good balance of consistency and control of the long notes. But even then, coming out of this mini break before drop into the second Ki, it does seem like card, as I do say that, they do find a drop which especially the break is somewhere you do not want to find one. But as I was going to say, card was coming up their accuracy a small bit, but unfortunately I do think something substantial has to happen to Znow in the back half if they do want to make this comeback. 21,000 point lead. At this rate, it is a pretty rough patch on the side of card, but anything can still happen. But we are going to be jumping into the second Ki. Going to be a bit more technical on that side as the density also does increase. But we'll have to see what happens to both these players when we head into the final quarter.
Yep, getting into the that final bit of the map. Znow still holding that full combo, now nearing to a 28,000 score lead. It's just growing further as card keeps on dropping that combo. Znow still holding that very strong accuracy, and we're seeing a score lead that is higher than 30,000, which is definitely not any good news for a card at the time being. Who would have to take something extremely catastrophic for for a card to take this one back.
As we do get to the stare down, Znow definitely having that comfy advantage, and even in the last drop, like, the nerves have to be calmed down for them, I could imagine, as they do have a very marginal lead against the side card. This last Ki isn't really going to be doing anything unless a technical issue does happen on the side of Znow, but I think it's safe to say when we head for this outro, I think Znow is going to be taking their comfy first point. As I say that, Znow does find a drop, but it's not going to matter at this rate. Coming off with a pretty clean 99.6, on the side of card 98.86, still a really solid score for a map like this, but against Znow, it's unfortunately not going to be doing it. Very clean 4-200 count on the side of Znow, and almost a full combo, but unfortunately the end got to them at the best.
Yeah. I mean, that accuracy is still pretty scary, especially on an LN pick like this. But we do see that, Znow's accuracy was just able to prevail by a long shot in this kind of pick. Whereas card, still not a bad score. It just, simply wasn't enough in the likes of, Znow. And that, that 200 count certainly did not help at all either.
Yeah, it's kind of that death of a thousand cut situation where you can bleed 200s, but too many and you do kind of tank your score a bit. But for card, I definitely think they have to go into Rice. I don't see a world that they don't jump into Rice. And since you do have 5 Rice picks as well, there is quite a lot of that platter. They could jump into their Protect straight away. Or maybe if they're thinking, I kind of want to be more on the pure accuracy side, Rice Free is always a pick. I'm not really too sure if I do want to jump into the technicals yet for card. But they are going to be doing it anyway. It's going to be Rice 4, going to be your dump pick. It's definitely a better pick, in my opinion, than Rice 5, as Znow also is tending to be very strong, as I say, in more the technicality side. And definitely Rice 5 is going to be the most physical Rice. That alongside Rice 4. But
yeah, I think Rice is a pretty interesting pick, especially, coming from card. I feel like, attack is really risky. But I don't know, maybe they have a thought process behind it, so I can't say for sure.
I think, looking at card as well, this does synergize pretty decently with Rice 2 on their Protect, both kind of sharing some of those stream similarities. I also do know Znow banned Rice 1 as well, so in that thought, maybe what I'm trying to read from card is, well, reading the cards from card, but in that case, I'm trying to think, okay, so I'm strong at jump streams, and we know that Znow banned Rice 1, so they might not be too confident on more the single stream area. So why not kind of have a mix of both and jump into our Rice 4, which is a very understandable situation that card would jump into.
Yeah, when you put it like that, then it does make a lot more sense. As we're gonna start picking things up, we do see that card is gonna have a slight drop in ratio, whereas Znow is gonna be holding out pretty well. Now it's just an intro, so we do have to let things settle out a bit more before we can really see a big, score lead.
Absolutely, and I feel like this will be a map card will be consistent on, but here we are. Doesn't really have a definite Ki. It's just, well, you start the map and then it's just a sprint to the end. 2 minutes and 30 seconds can go by in the blink of an eye in most cases, but looking at this, very close scores from both players. But the question is, will they both hold on? There are some mini jacks scattered in there at 125 BPM, a lot of flams and some broken hand streams as well. Can potentially catch out some players, even at 200 at this rate, can bring things over towards the side of card. But will that happen? They'll just have to keep on to their consistency as the mini jacks and flams alongside some trills are rolling down even more.
Yeah, we do see that, the margin of error is very high at the moment. There's not even a 4-digit, score lead into Znow right now. So right now, this is just off of ratio. And, we're only halfway through the map. And, there's still plenty of things that could happen in that, last half. So it's hard to say whether or not, someone has a definitive lead. But actually, Card had a noticeable accuracy drop at 200, I'm assuming, just happened there. And we do see that Znow has somewhat of a cushion to work with. Znow can maybe, let a 202 come out, and they would still be fine.
You are correct, it did drop a 200, but the map is getting heavier on the mini jacks, and even some rolls as well have been seen. As they head into the final section of the map, anything can still happen. A 200 trade back on the side of Znow, but Card finding that draw. That is going to do it, unless Znow gets a reverse glove touch and finds a miss on themselves. I don't think Card is going to be catching back up anytime, and I think with Snow's consistency alone, they are going to be able to take that breakpoint off Card. A really good boost in the morale for them.
Yeah, oh wow, that was really devastating to see how just, the score lead just went from 2000 to instantly to that 5-digit, score lead just from that singular miss. But regardless, even if Card did not choke that, those 2 misses there, we would have seen that Znow would have still won that just from ratio or even like the 200 count alone. So that is going to give Znow another point, 2-0 in Znow's favor.
Yeah, definitely giving them a boost, and they are wasting no time jumping into their protect. If they do continue this way, this could be their second last pick. But again, we have seen Card be able to keep up a good fight with Znow when it does come to some more rice picks. So this could still go either way. But we have seen Card falter. We have seen Znow falter at the end of the LN chart. So a combo is going to be key for a map like this, especially that it is more the rice wildcard. So everything is going to be thrown in a bit more technical, a bit more stream based. Everything is going to be tested here. This is going to be like your mini rice tiebreaker essentially.
Yeah, I feel like with this kind of pick, if like even one of the players missed, the other one could win, even if, Znow were to have like a higher accuracy advantage, because I think it would really depend on where Znow would miss, where Card can get in, take advantage of that, because Snow's accuracy is definitely going to be providing themselves with like a great cushion to work with.
Yeah, that definitely is true. And in a map that's 4 minutes, I think we can expect to see, I think, a full combo in this case. While very impressive, I think it is going to be uncommon for most players, I would say, to get a full combo on this map. It is very brutal, as I said earlier, and Card is going to be the first one to take a drop, but that is before the 400 combo cap, so not really going to be putting too much damage in. There is time to catch up, especially in the 4-minute map. A rough start isn't really going to be doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, a miss from the start isn't, it could have been worse. But like, as you said, it was before the 400, cap. And now Card is just nearing there, and Znow is going to be holding a really good accuracy, at a 99.85. Card nearing that low 99, and Znow is going to actually be holding nearly a 8,000 score lead right off the bat. And, we're just 1/4 into this map, so there's still a lot that could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Card making a comeback, having a very stable unstable rate there. Hitting drill, both players hitting dab. But Znow is still holding on to that lead. He is not giving in to Card's shenanigans of that that early miss. But they will just have to keep holding on and pray for the best that Znow does have a reverse drop as well. They are holding on really well, but we have seen that was a pretty nasty drop for Card at the beginning. So even with it, I think Znow can't even afford to miss if it is still clean. But again, as we head into the second drop, we're going to be seeing a lot more of those technical aspects of the map. And here we are, taking a lot of streams. I do believe that was a 50 on the side of card as well. Having to watch out, especially jumping in, and a drop at that as well. That's not going to be doing them any favors, especially now that we're after the 400 combo cap.
Yeah, we do see that Znow is immediately going to have a much larger score lead, and Znow is still going to be holding that full combo and having, holding around that same accuracy I mentioned earlier. And, this little break is going to give these players, a pause to, settle down for a bit. But things are going to slowly pick up again as we near into yet another drop.
Absolutely. Well, we do have to wait for the break first. And as we do get into it, we do get a pretty nice build up to kind of get players back into the groove a small bit. But the problem is with card, they did have to see the stare down as well, which could increase nerves alongside the side of Znow as well. But here we are heading into one of our other Ki. Gonna be heavier on the jacks and some flams as well. But they're still holding on well. Bit on the earlier side for card, including a 100 as well. Again, they have to be playing absolutely flawlessly if they do want to try and make that comeback. But
yeah, we do see that both players were able to handle this Ki section pretty well. Card actually gaining accuracy ever since that drop. However, with oh, sorry, never mind. Card just got another miss, and that's just going to give an even larger score lead to Znow. Still holding that 99.84. And, with just a last bit of the map left, I think it's safe to say that Znow is fine, unless something unfortunate were to happen.
Yeah, again, card can still take this, but here we are heading into the final Ki. Here we are, a couple more of those long jacks, couple more of those flams as well on the side. If this was a lot closer, it would be a lot more intense and a lot more nerve-wracking. But unfortunately, in this case, Znow can afford to take a few drops at this area as we head into the final aspect of the map. As we get to speed up, as we do get some anchors and some jump stream, getting some of those final trills and some of those jacks at 165 BPM. It is very brutal, especially at the end of a gauntlet of a 4-minute map that is around the quarterfinals, I do believe. But Znow gonna execute that beautifully with a 94 and a V1 double S at that. You can see now why. You can see why they are a very strong player when it comes to physical picks.
Yeah, a V1 SS from Znow, and yet another point. So that is going to be 3-0 in Znow's favor. Card. Oh, how did impressive miss count? Just only 3 misses, but just compared to Znow, whereas a V1 V1 SS score, it is unfortunately not going to cut it, and it just wasn't close, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm actually noticing now during that long note section before the final Ki, there was a bit of pressing there. I did see that. Also, did state by one of our chatters in the chat. Thank you, Adam, for that. But now for card. I think on the side of card, I think that's going to the protect. Like, they only have. There's only. The thing is, if card loses their protect, then they are in risk of Znow wiping them to lose this bracket. So I think it has to be Rice 2 in this case. And here we are, jumping into Jump Stream. So it should be a lot more simple compared to the likes of Rice 4, EX1, and EX2. Actually, the most simple map we have here. Though it is 3 minutes, 20 seconds long, and almost 240 BPM. It is pretty light in its patterns, and consistency. Card has to be on top of their A game, but thankfully, if they did protect this, we can definitely see a very strong performance in card and potentially taking this point as well. But if not, it can put them in a very risky spot.
Yep, and this is a category song. I like some of their music, so this is a pretty nice pick to see. But that aside, we are about to get started as these players are not wasting time to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Katagiri, definitely very well Like if you see category song, you instantly either think LN density or you either think jump stream. A lot of tournaments do actually have a lot of category maps when it comes to the Rise 2 category or LN2 category. But as we can jump into things, here we are. We can always have with some of the denseness. You have a lot of trills as well to accompany some of the jump streams. And as we kick into the map, we can just wait and see what both these players are gonna jump into and counter.
Both players holding out pretty high accuracy at the time being pretty consistent actually. Both players, oh never mind, and as Card is going to be dropping a combo early on into this map, and that is going to actually not hurt the score lead as much as we've seen in other times, since it was an earlier miss, but you know, it was over the 400 combo cap, so that is going to hurt more than it would. And they drop it again, so Znow is still going to be holding that full combo and, you know, that high 99 area, and that score lead is, you know, getting closer to that, you know, 5-digit.
Yeah, it is not really the best sign for Card right now, but again, you have to admit this definitely is a very tricky map, especially with the transitions between some of the trills, like the split trills, the jump trills, and even some of the 1-4 column trills as well. I guess the real compensator is that it does get light at times, and you do have a few breaks as well to catch your breath. Well, I wouldn't really call them breaks, I'll just say more like jump stream. But as we are heading through the halfway point of the map, Card definitely finding their footing, catching back up to the 99.6. So I do believe, even if Znow does find a pretty nasty drop as well, I think things can get really close. But here we are, the camp before the storm, and as I say that, Znow gonna be taking a drop as well. While relatively clean, it does kind of open up more eyes to Card and more opportunities to take back what is theirs rightfully.
Yeah, we did see that Znow missed in the more calmer, you know, hybrid section over there, which is pretty funny because I do understand, you know, missing in the easier parts, especially when you let your guard down. But that aside, Card may be able to make a comeback here if Znow were to find another drop. But, you know, at the time being, Znow does have a stronger accuracy advantage, and that is doing Znow some favors right now. But, you know, Card is, you know, just past that 2000 combo, and anything could happen in this last bit.
Yeah, absolutely. The density and the trills are still riling up. The physicality is not reached its climax yet. Anything can still happen. Again, while Card is still only one miss down, anything can still happen as the vocals get heavier and the map starts to close out. Will we be seeing that drop from Znow? Will Card falter a bit? The trills are getting a bit heavier. The jump stream still keeps rolling on. There's no stopping whatsoever. And with that, the map comes out to a close. Znow is going to be nabbing that breakpoint off Card, stealing a pick from them, and it gives them the potential match point slot. Had Card held on to the full combo, they could have taken that breakpoint, but unfortunately in tournaments as well, you do have to really keep that consistency up. And this also puts Card in a very dangerous spot, as Znow, of course, is 4-0 up, and they do have next pick, attempting to close it off with long note 1. Very reasonable pick on their side, especially after the likes of EX2.
Oh, okay, so LN1, Peach Pin and Cyanide, probably one of my favorite songs ever. It's really good.
Yeah, it's a Millie. It's gonna be a Millie song, and I do know they make really good songs. Alongside that, Millie also, you see a lot of Millie songs used in Oceania for long note maps. Of course, the one that comes in mind is String for You.
Yeah, it was also featured in the 2026 7K Mania World Cup in finals.
So yeah, definitely a lot of backstory to a lot of Millie as well, and it is really nice that they are getting represented in this. But a 3-minute coordination pick. Again, it is OD 7.2, but we have seen from EX2 that Znow can definitely hold their own when it comes to long note fundamentals. So I'm probably expecting they do have the advantage here. But since this is a more lesser long note pick, we could potentially see as well Card maybe even taking this too.
Getting into this intro, we do see that Znow is going to be holding strong, accuracy. Card actually also holding a good accuracy as well. Nearing in that 99.4. Actually no, but actually Znow is going to have a 2.5k score lead just from accuracy into this intro. But we're gonna have this slow bit for a while. So right now these players should prioritize acting these releases as in a slow section like this, accuracy matters a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. This map is also only 154 BPM. I would even relatively say that is kind of in the middle end. We have seen lower, but as we head into the Ki, Card definitely struggling a lot more here. Again, a lot more of those trills, a lot more of those accompanying notes alongside the coordination are starting to take place, which can get overwhelming for your eyes if you're not really too suited to it. And unfortunately, that's going to happen on the side of Card alongside the combo break as well. So that is going to be giving a nice advantage over towards Znow. And with a whole percent down, there's nothing you can really do in that case other than just try shake off the boots a small bit and hopefully focus in for the second drop.
Yeah, we do see, I think for the first time in this matchup, we do see an accuracy difference of over 1%. And now getting into this Ki section, we do see that Znow is still holding, accuracy perfectly fine, whereas Card is getting quite a few misses here. And that is not going to be doing Card it's not going to be giving Card any favors at the time being. However, their accuracy is starting to somewhat stabilize, but even saying that, while their accuracy is, much lower compared to Znow, that's it's not going to be changing the score lead.
Yeah, they definitely have a very strong advantage down at Znow. They can afford to tank a few drops themselves, but looking at how their consistency is, I don't really see that happening. Card also taking up a drop, kind of not really too consistent on Lano releases. They could be potentially late releases, which tends to happen for people who kind of struggle a bit more in LN coordination. As we do jump into the final Ki, going to be another drop for good measure on the side of Card, but as we head in here, it is going to be a bit less physical on the side for the final Ki. As we do close off the map, I think it's safe to say Znow is going to be getting this 5-0 lead, going to be getting that victory for themselves, and going to be pushing themselves into the winner's bracket of round of 16. But we will have to see. Card getting one more miss. And Znow
just
also
the
gets
one
another
miss
one
choke
as well.
at the very end. Well, I mean, even with that one miss, we do see Znow still got a 990k, which is still very strong, especially in the coordination pick. But unfortunately for Card, we do see that Znow was able to win this 5-0, which is not great for Card, to say the least.
Well,
it isn't entirely over for Card. There are going to be, knockdown and losers bracket, but they're still in the tournament, and Znow is, going to proceed into the winners bracket.
Absolutely. But I will say for Card, in a situation like this, they definitely put up a really strong fight, especially in a lot of the Rice picks. That Rice 4 was really close. And they did get close times with EX1 and Rice 2 as well on that side. But
yeah, I just think that, Znow was able to prevail in the LN picks by a long shot. Well, and you are right. Card was able to put up a strong fight in the Rice picks, but Znow was able to stick to the LN picks and just make sure that Card was, going to be able to get close.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day as well, every loss is a learning experience as well. So, of course, for Card, maybe they can just look back and see what needs to be shaped up for the round of 16, which they will be facing, I do believe, the winner of Jose versus Israel Fanboy, Seed 50 versus Seed 47. That does seem like a really close match as well, and I'm really excited to see that one out. But for now, congratulations to Znow for taking the victory. Commiserations as well for the side of Card, but You are still in the fight. You still have the losers bracket to get through, and we wish you best of luck for both of these players.
Yep. Thank you all very much for watching this stream in the Cat Yum Cup. And I am Nameless Fanatic, joined by Nightcore, and I'll see you next time.
Take care.